This week, you're going to turn in your research paper, your complete research paper, introduction, including a thesis statement, body, and conclusion. Your research paper will include those outside sources. It will be 5 to 6 pages in length. It will be formatted correctly, double-spaced, and it will have a works cited page. One thing that I've noticed as I've been looking through the work you've done so far on your research paper is that a few of you seem overwhelmed by information. It's as important to think about what you put into your paper as what you leave out. So if you're writing about your future career, you can't say everything there is to say about it. It's better to focus in on certain points that you want to make to keep your paper cohesive and to make it not be overwhelming for you. And the best way to do that is to have a solid thesis statement. So I'm taking you back to the beginning of the semester when we talked about thesis statements. I had information for you in your textbook and information in Canvas for you about the importance of your thesis statement. Remember that your thesis statement is the one overarching idea that captures pretty much everything in your paper. Everything in your paper can be related back to your thesis statement. So it needs to be broad enough to encompass everything in your paper, but narrow enough to give you that focus. I'm going to read to you a quote from one of my favorite textbook authors. Her name is Kitty Chin Dean. It's a book called Essentials of the Essay. I discovered this book many, many years ago, and it's always been one of my favorites. Here's what Dean says about your thesis statement. Usually an essay will start with an introduction of several sentences, but with a sentence or two that tells the thesis or theme of your essay. This thesis is your main point. Make it one that not everyone will agree with. Make it one that you have to prove. For example, rather than saying that you will describe cats you have known, we can't argue with you on that. Say that you will tell why cats are unlikable. Some people would disagree with that. I would disagree with that. Then add some sentences before or after the thesis that show your knowledge of this subject. You might explain, for example, that you've had 4 cats in your life and have observed the cats of relatives and friends. I also had this graphic included in an earlier module, a successful thesis statement. So remember what it says. A successful thesis statement provides readers with the main claim of your paper. It tells readers what your paper will be about. It makes a claim that others may agree with or disagree with. It's not a question, it's a statement. It's written in your own words. You don't use a quote or a paraphrase for your thesis statement. And generally, it appears as the last sentence of your introduction. If you're feeling overwhelmed, if you feel like your paper is disorganized, if you feel like you have so much stuff and you can't cram it all in, go to your thesis statement, take a look at it, make sure it is concise, broad enough to cover everything, but narrow enough to give you a focus.